In recent times, the economic downturn and declining membership figures have put a strain on the finances of the CWU. So what are the financial challenges facing the union, and how does the CWU plan to resolve them? I've come to speak with Senior Deputy General Secretary Tony Kearns about this pressing issue. So Tony, if we're looking at the financial picture for this union in the next year and beyond the bigger picture, there are some challenges facing you and the CWU, aren't they? I say you because you are the man who's controlling the purse strings.
There are some real big challenges that we're going to have to get to grips with really urgently. We've seen a steady decline in membership income over the last few years that interferes, if you like, with our ability to spend money to represent our members. And I reckon that's probably to the tune of about £4 million that we need to make a serious, if you like, cut back, for want of a better phrase, and in realigning our expenditure.
So you've got to cut £4 million out of your budget of about £27 million, you reckon, for next year. When you saw that figure and then told your colleagues that that was what you had to do, did you think, we can't do this, this is going to be an impossible task? Or did you think it's doable, it'll be tough, but it's doable?
My view is, when I came across that figure, or when we did the calculations that sort of identified a figure of around £4 million, that was a bit of a sharp intake of breath. And you know, you can't belittle the fact that £4 million is a lot of money. However, having had experience in dealing with this issue in the past, I believe it is doable. It requires the input of everybody in the organisation, and to understand that what we're trying to achieve here is for the benefit of our 214,000 members, and that's the issue that matters. And so how we control that expenditure from the income that our members give us in contributions, and how we reinvest that benefits them, is the key task. And provided all activists from the bottom to the top of the union understand that, I do believe that the task that lies ahead of us, which is not small, but I believe we can achieve.
There are areas, aren't there, where you can't not spend. You have a commitment to pensions, and I presume other areas as well, so that there are no-go areas for your slashing into the budget. Well,
what we've said at the beginning is that there are, if you like, there are no-go areas. However, you know, like the vast majority of defined benefit contribution schemes out in the wider economy. I mean, I read a statistic that said 97% of all pension schemes are now showing increased deficits. The ones that we fund as an employer are no different. Now, we argue long and hard with our major employers that they should treat our members properly when it comes to their future benefit on pensions. And so it would be hypocritical of us as an employer not to treat our employees the same way. So, of course, that brings with it a heavy price, which, you know, we have to find out of membership contributions.
That. So you're repaying the deficit then on those pensions. That's quite a commitment from your budget, is it?
It is, and it doesn't make the task of planning expenditure any easier, but we believe as a trade union it's the right thing to do. And in fact, our activists believe that, because they carried a policy at conference, that in looking at how we deal with our pension schemes, that if you like, the interests of our employees are to the fore when it comes to dealing with that.
You'll also be spending money on campaigns, keep the post public. I mean, that's your baby, and you have to pay for it. Is it going to cost the union an awful lot to carry that forward?
It will. There's no getting away from that. And if a government of whatever political persuasion decides it wants to privatise an industry that we operate in this case Royal Mail, you know, we don't believe ultimately that's in the best interest of our members, and so we will do what we have to do in terms of opposing that, which means, of course, extra funding. We have to find money that's, if you like, should be part of what we do, but it's not part of our day-to-day stuff. These are things that come in as and when type of stuff, and so we have to find the money, you know, and we intend to do that because we believe that to be in the best long-term interest of our members. And
you want everybody to understand, don't you, that the structure in place for this union was for a much bigger union, and if people understand that as it gets smaller, restructuring really is important, you think it's going to be achievable because people will kind of understand where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. In 1999, we had over 280,000 members in this union, and we had a campaign. I remember the posters around everywhere that said 300,000 by 2000, which is a massive campaign to kick on, and we'd have 300,000 members. Now we've got 214,000 members. We're almost heading towards, if you like, a drop of 50%. So in the year 2000, we thought we'll have 300,000 members. Let's develop a union, let's develop a structure, let's develop services for a membership that's 300,000 strong. 11 years on, 12 years on, we're looking at a union of only 200,000. And of course, there's a gap between what's coming in and how we structure the organisation. And therefore, if we're to survive and to make sure that we represent members around a figure of 200, 210,000, that we make sure that we're structured accordingly. And unfortunately, that's going to mean a change in the way we use the members' money.
And so you've got to do two things then. You're managing the money that's coming in for the members that you have, but you need to make more money, you need to get more members. How are you going to do that?
Absolutely. One of the, just a key task, as equally as important as managing expenditure, is to make sure we maximise income. And there's clear evidence from some research we've done and from figures we've looked at that we're not doing that. There's clear evidence that maybe a minimum of 20,000 and potentially up to 30, 35,000 people are working in grades represented by the CWU who are not members of the CWU. And if we were to recruit even a third of those, then we improve our financial position enormously, which allows us in turn, because we're not a not-for-profit organisation, which allows us in turn to invest that money back into services and benefits for the members we represent.
And were you shocked by that figure when you saw up to 20, 30,000 people who could be members aren't members? Did you think, where have we gone wrong?
Yes, I mean, it was a bit of a surprise. We didn't believe it to be that many. And what we need to do now is try and do some investigation as to why that is. Where have we gone wrong? Is it to do with the way we're structured at national level? Is it to do the way what we expect our branches to do locally and what work we expect them to do? So there's a big debate we need to have about whose responsibility it is to deal with that. I mean, my view is that actually the issue of recruitment is everybody's responsibility in the organisation. We're all part of the organisation. We all expect the benefits out of the organisation, and therefore we all need to play our part in addressing income, which in reality means recruiting more members. You
give a lot of money to your branches, about 29% of your budget, which is almost a third.
Yeah.
Do you give it evenly over the country? Is that something you could reconsider? I'm presuming that you have branches of different sizes all over the country.
Well, each branch gets 29% of actual income that we receive from the members in their branch area. There is evidence to suggest that for some branches, 29% is the right amount of money. There is clear evidence that for some branches, 29% is more than enough, and we know this because we withhold money from branches that have more than 12 months worth of rebate, which is what we call the 29%, in their account. And there are those branches who ring us up and contact us to say we haven't got enough money. So there are three levels there, and what we need to find is the best way of dealing with what branches use that 29% for, what we use the remaining 71% for, and making sure that in that total, if you like, the members are getting the service that they expect from paying their contributions.
Now, you're not overly worried, although you said you were shocked when you saw the 4 million figure. Is it going to be tough? And you're the man that's really got to carry it out, aren't you?
Yeah, it is going to be tough, and I'm not going to pretend to anybody that it's not going to be tough. My experience is that if everybody understands what it is we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, then it's doable, for one of a better phrase. That's what I believe that, and I intend to operate on that basis. I don't intend to be distracted by people who say, it can't be done, it'll never be done. My view is that providing everybody understands the issue, providing them to the point that we're going to find a way of engaging the members, right. Because ultimately it's about the members paying their contributions and us saying to them, what type of union do you want us to provide you with? What type of services do you want? What type of benefits do you want? So we're going to find a process of engaging with representatives, engaging with members, and then using that information with a decline in income to build a union that survives going forward.
Tony, what would you say are the top 2 issues that you'd want people to remember from this interview, the most important things you want them to take away?
I think the main 2 issues are that we need to restructure, reorganise the CWU as an organisation. Firstly, to make sure that the structures we have in place are cost effective, that we can afford the structures we've got in place, and that those structures in themselves are delivering what the members want, are delivering what the members pay their money for. So as they understand when they're handing over their contributions every week or every month, that the service they get back is what they want and what they need on a day-to-day basis in the workplace, and that we're carrying their views, if you like, to the major employers to gain for them better terms and conditions, better benefits. Secondly, and just as importantly, is the need to recruit more members. As I've said previously, we believe there's anywhere between 30,000 people in CWU represented grades who are not in the CWU, and it falls on all of us to make sure that we structure ourselves and set up a programme of recruitment that brings those members into this union, thus making the union stronger and in the long term more financially viable.
So if somebody's listening and they're in the union and they know somebody they work with who isn't, talk to them.
Absolutely, because the idea of the union working together as a collective is strengthened by the more people who are in it, and if the people you're working with are not in union, my advice is to ask them to join the union because it strengthens your position.
Tony Kearns, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.